Let's talk about Hitler.
That'll make sense later.
I'm immaculately conceived.
I don't know what to do.
I swear I'm not stupid.
Take it or leave it. Sometimes you just want to leave it.
If I gotta borrow my mom's underwear, I'm borrowing her underwear.
You just, yeah.
Misa likes the Jar Jar Binks.
I'm not gonna edit it out.
Oh no.
I don't know. Like, I think I'm just pretty great. Just staying on the
Sucks to
planet.
suck.
Why are you saying it with a question mark?
Clap, bitch.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Action.
And we're live. I'm Anna.
And I'm Jessica.
And this is Why Are You Yelling?
We made it.
We sure did.
We made it.
So life updates. I guess this is a new segment we've started doing, and we're just gonna keep doing it because all of you, we know you care.
Yeah, 100%.
So what are your life updates?
I did realize I have another pet peeve this week. It was I was at a drive-thru, and there's this moment when you pay for your food, and the cashier runs your card, and then they have their hand out the window, but they're not fully handing you your card because they're waiting to see if the transaction has processed.
It's more like they swiped it and then they're kind of just holding it aloft.
They're holding it, but they kind of slowly keep creeping it towards you, but they're still watching the machine, so they're just kind of dangling it. And I'm like, just don't fucking go to hand it to me till the transaction is done. Because you're just basically like, maybe? Like, it's just, it was very annoying. So I'm like, just stop moving. Just stop. Just don't hand it to me. Just wait till it's approved and then hand me my card.
Like, I'm not playing this game with you.
I don't want to play chicken with you.
This is not Hungry Hippos. I am not like...
No. So that was very annoying to me. And I was like, all right, pet peeve activated. That was very annoying.
Did I tell you a couple weeks ago? I think I mentioned to you when I had to I don't remember if I said it on here, about when I had to basically stay up like overnight because my mom, like a family friend had an emergency and had to go to the hospital. And so I had to help watch the young child while they were dealing with that. So I stayed up all night, and then by the time I'm getting ready to leave and actually go home and get some sleep, it's almost 6 a.m. So I'm like, I am starving. Haven't slept at all. I'm like, I'm going to go to McDonald's. Did I tell you this?
No,
okay.
This part you did not tell me.
So I'm sleep deprived. It's now getting close to 6 a.m. I had slept for all of 45 minutes. So I'm very tired, but I'm like, I want a McGriddle.
Mm-hmm.
I want that syrupy pancakey goodness. I'm like, I want a hash brown.
Mm-hmm.
I want the fried salty deliciousness, and I want an orange juice. Yeah, I prefer apple usually, but I was like, I didn't know if they had apple, and I was not about to risk being given a box of apple juice because I'm not a toddler. So I was like, we'll just go with orange. So anywho, I'm like, I wonder if I'm going to be like their first customer of the day, because they open at 6 a.m. and it was like just past 6 a.m. So I get through the drive-thru. There's not that many cars in the parking lot. There's like 2 or 3 maybe. So I know for a fact it was their first customer of the day, because I get to the first window to pay, and bless her, I bet she was tired too, because she went to open the window and it wouldn't open. And she double checked to make sure she had I guess disengaged the lock on it, and it still wouldn't open. And then I noticed that there's a bar, like an extra level of security, I guess. There's a bar that prevents the door or the window from sliding.
Oh, like they do for sliding glass doors?
Yeah. So it's like a security bar.
Yeah.
So she hadn't taken down the security bar to slide. So she's like trying to, and it wouldn't move. And I was like, I had to point to it and be like, the bar. Because I noticed it. And then she was like, oh, she started laughing. And I'm like, girl, it's early. I know. And so I'm cracking up. I think it's funny. I'm also, again, sleep deprived, so I'm delusional and whatever. So I pay, and then I go to the next window to get my food. Same thing happens again.
Heart. They're just like, they're trying.
So she comes to bring me my orange juice, and then she goes to pull a thing, and I started laughing. And I was like, it's the bar. And then she finally opened it, and I was like, don't worry. She had the same exact problem.
They're like, bro, it's too early. Why are you hungry? Go back to bed.
I was like, it's too early for everybody. But I thought that was amusing. I didn't know. I mean, it makes sense there's a mechanism like that. But I guess I've never been there that early to see it Me neither.
in full action before. That's funny. Dude, the McGriddle.
That is by far the superior breakfast sandwich of any drive-through breakfast sandwich. Don't come at me with your Chick-fil-A chicken biscuit. I don't care.
So if you were wondering how her sleep schedule's going,
it's not, we made no progress. But no, that's a lie. We made some progress. There was a week around like Christmas, between Christmas and New Year's, where it was really bad. And I was like consistently not going to bed till like 3 or 4 a.m. And then I would get to work around like 1 p.m. or later, and then working super late. So it is now shifted back at least an hour to an hour and a half. So I have made progress from that point, but it's a vicious cycle. Anywho,
she's doing great.
Yeah, more of my life updates. I still have a hole in my ceiling. It still leaks. The leaks have started to spread, or at least the water stains in the ceiling have started to spread from just the bedroom to now the attached bathroom, which I was still using the attached bathroom like to shower and stuff. And then I have a half bathroom downstairs that I would use for getting ready and all that other stuff. But now the leaks and water stains have now spread to the bathroom upstairs, to where I'm like a couple more like thunderstorms and the hole may extend into that bathroom.
It's probably going to extend. So we may be getting snow, which is, we're like South Georgia. We're the south as you can basically be. And we might actually be getting snow Tuesday, Wednesday-ish. And
in a couple of days.
Yeah, in a couple of days. By the time this goes up, it'll have already happened. But a lot of people are like, snow has weight to it. That's just going to sit on a lot of these roofs that have not been, like, so there's a lot of concern there.
I think people are too concerned about it, because anytime we've had snow this far south, it usually is not a lot, or it like melts pretty much as soon as it hits the ground. Because like we'll barely get to the freezing temperatures, or like we'll be just hovering just above it to where it freezes in the air. And by the time it hits on the ground, it's already melting.
It was like, 18 minutes snowed here, and some of it stayed on it was enough to make tiny little things.
It was enough to make the roads dangerous, because, the snow would melt and then sometimes refreeze in certain parts, and then it makes it. There was, when it snowed here a couple years ago, I want to say that there was like 60-something car accidents, like car wrecks, within the first like couple of hours.
I slid on the road on the way home, which with my boss that was so stupid, but I don't work there anymore. That was the dumbest thing ever. It was so dangerous for no reason. Like, he was like, come to work. And then as I'm working, that's when it started to snow. Then he's like, all right, well, go ahead and go home. And then he felt bad. And he was like, because he had like a truck. He's like, well, do you want me to just drive you home? And I was like, I want my car, bro.
Yeah.
So I took my car, and then, man, I slid. I did. And I was like, oh, this is it. And then I was like, oh, okay, no, I made it home. Because then I was like, I'm just going to go 5 miles an hour.
There were so many accidents that it got to the point that I think the city and the county police department and the sheriff's office were basically like curfew almost. They're like, stay off the roads. If you do not have to be anywhere, do not be on the roads, because it's super dangerous right now. Because it's not that we can't drive. It's that our infrastructure is not equipped to deal with snow on the roads.
We're just dealing with a lot of this. Our infrastructure is not equipped things. So
so we have snow coming, and
if it's not snow, it's going to be freezing rain. Either way, it's not going to be great for you, to be honest.
So thank God my mother bought me an electric blanket a couple months ago. I use that thing every single day, pretty much. And it helps a lot to help keep me warm, because again, with the hole in my ceiling, there's no insulation. So my apartment just kind of stays cold, because I'm not trying to crank my heat up to heat a house that's not going to retain the heat.
And physically, I'm unable to even handle that whole
so that's where we're at right now with that situation. And I've also started to become sick, a little ill. So I've got a sore throat that's going on like a week now.
Yeah, I was not made aware that she was sick until she offers me her water, because I was like, damn, I need a water. And then I was like, well, let me see. And then I actually ended up finding one that was mine, that was in like a mini fridge here, which then she says, yeah, it's probably a good idea anyway, because my throat's been bothering me. And I was like, wait a minute. Wait a damn minute.
Yeah. So, and the sore throat could be just with the weather changes, the going in and out of cold and heat, and with the heat running at night when I'm sleeping and all that stuff.
Yeah.
That could be part of why. And, like seasonal allergies or whatever. I mean, there could be mold in my apartment.
There's definitely mold in your apartment.
Yeah. So, I mean, that could be affecting it. So
I just
who knows?
hope, I don't know.
I'm just
hopefully
ill.
at the end of this month, there will be some sort of result.
Hopefully. While we're on the complaint train about how much my life sucks. And
choo-choo.
I've developed like a slight numbness in my fingers on my left hand. Like it's not all the time and it's not like completely numb to where I can't feel it, but it's like, you get like a little numb tingle that's sort of happening in my fingers on my left hand, but I don't know what's causing it. I also have this like, it could be caused by, but I have like basically chronic like pain in my trapezius. But that's caused from working at a desk and being on computers and cell phones and bad posture and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Pain is kind of always there, but it's been like particularly bad the last like week or two. And I don't know if that is causing the tingling in my hand or if it's the slight pain in my wrist that's causing it or in my elbow. Because again, working at a desk a lot, I lean.
Falling apart.
Yeah. So basically I'm dying is what I'm trying to say. As we all are.
This is a really lighthearted, nice episode,
This
guys.
is what you came here for. So that's all of my life updates.
You wanted to talk about this TMZ story.
Girl.
So my understanding of this story is I saw one video where basically I just knew that somebody recorded somebody else and then the person that was recorded killed them. They died by their own hand.
Yes.
That was all I understood about the story.
Yes. So it's nuts. I mean, and it's I'll just explain. So basically there is this place there's in Arizona, it's called Bikini Beans Coffee. It's like a drive-thru coffee place, a local sort of coffee shop. They have a couple locations in Arizona. And the whole like idea of this coffee shop is that the baristas wear bikinis while they're serving you. Yeah, their whole staff.
Hot coffee with no clothes on?
Yeah, so
why?
We'll get into that in a moment because I have thoughts on just the business as a whole. But basically the baristas are wearing bikinis, they're not, from what I can tell.
Have you seen any staff members? What do they look like?
I did.
Are they like Hooters?
I pulled up their website and I guess I can show you, but it wasn't like anything super gratuitous. So here's this like promo video they have on their website. Like they're not slutty bikinis. I mean, a lot of them are high-waisted. They're not like super tiny things where they have all their bits hanging out, but they are in bikinis. Yeah. Again, I have thoughts about just the business as a whole, but we'll get there.
Guys, come on now.
Yeah, and they have several locations. So basically this, so apparently one of their locations has had issues before with some of their customers coming through the drive-thru and doing inappropriate things in their cars. One of them being touching themselves inappropriately with no pants on in the drive-thru as they're going through the drive-thru getting their coffees.
So I just want to clarify, no pants means do they have undies on? Or their whole dick is out. I'm saying like there's nothing on the nether regions. I just want to know, because when I hear no pants, I'm assuming they have underwear. In this particular video, I couldn't see, unless they were wearing like super short briefs that could have like, or if they were wearing like a tighty whitey situation or something that could have been concealed by the fold of how they were sitting in the car. You can't really tell, but for all intents and purposes, it does not look like this person has on pants or underwear. That is so weird. And he had his shirt on.
Mm-hmm.
He Winnie the Pooh'd. He came out Winnie the Pooh style.
Poohing it up. Like,
bro, that's so not sexy.
No.
Oh my.
So so basically, I think this location has had issues with this before. And so when this particular customer, this man was placing his order, the employee who was taking the order notified her manager that like this man doesn't have pants on, like that's appeared to be touching himself inappropriately. Like that's not okay.
Like while ordering, he's just So is it like it's not like at Starbucks where you talk when you order, you're like, I want to talk, like, so you're talking to like a speaker, like it's like the other smaller coffee shops where you pull up and you see them?
I assume. Okay. Yeah, where you order face to face through a window.
Yeah, because how else would she see that? Okay, yeah.
I would assume that is the case. And so she alerted the manager. So when the guy pulls up to, I guess, either pay or pick up his food or whatever, the manager goes out there and has her phone and is recording him. And then hold on.
No, I have not seen this video, so she's about to show it to me.
So she says to him, she's recording it and says to him, "Sir, you need to leave, unacceptable." And then he like drives off, like his face, you can see the kind of look on his face of like alarm or whatever. And then he drives off. And so I'll let you watch this video.
Hi, how are you? Good. Have you been here before?
Yeah.
Sir, you need to leave. Unacceptable. Unacceptable. Call 911.
He went from smiling to being mortified within 2 seconds. She didn't even
She didn't call him names. It wasn't like she was being like mean to him. She literally, and
he definitely
she had every right to be mean to him.
Yeah.
But she was just being stern. That's it.
Let me, so one more, I'm like, I need to pause where I see this man's legs. Like, did he didn't look how I expected him to look.
See, it's not, and I'm like, okay, how much pre-planning goes into this that you don't have pants on at all? Because it's not like he just had him pulled his pants open and he had his, dick out and touching himself. It's not like his pants were even pushed down to his knees or to his ankles, because maybe that would restrict the driving.
Well, that's what I'm trying to...
completely, you cannot see
because I can see his thigh muscle or whatever, and I'm trying to see, because his arm... I can't decide whether what he is and isn't. Where he clearly doesn't... If he has pants on...
They're like athletic shorts or something.
Shorts.
Because you can't really see... It's not like they're jeans or pants that are like bulkier that you can see around his like feet or anything. Like, I can't see anything.
He doesn't look like the type of dude that would need to do this.
He's married, or was married, and had a child. Yeah. So this man does this, is recorded. The video gets posted online, right? Basically because somebody was trying to warn people and they actually figured out who it was. Because people are like, whoever this man is that came to this location, like, beware of him, because that is creepy, like sexual predatory behavior.
Yeah.
And so the next day he went and shot himself. Yeah. So my initial question is like, how much pre-planning, again, goes into you deciding to do this?
Yeah.
No pants, like the audacity?
No, literally, like, who does that?
Do you think they won't? Either one, you think they can't see you, in which case you're dumb.
What's this place called?
Bikini Beans Coffee is the name of the place. So either one, you think that they can't see you, or two, you're hoping they see you because it's some sort of like weird power play because you want them to feel scared or uncomfortable. But the minute you get called out for it, you look mortified and speed off.
Yeah, because the interaction was like, do you come here a lot? Yeah. You need to leave. Like, she didn't even like say why. So it's kind of like,
he knows.
He looks mortified.
He knows that what he was doing was gross and inappropriate. Because he didn't even question it. He just looked embarrassed and drove off. So, yeah. And then I guess according to, let me see. I'm trying to.
His family,
so
according to reports, have apparently visited the coffee shop accusing them. Well, sorry, I clicked on articles. I was trying to figure out, like, because people are saying that people are divided
about whose fault it is. Yeah. So basically, some people are blaming the coffee shop because they recorded this video. It got posted online. I don't know who posted it.
Yeah.
But it was posted online, and then they're like, you embarrassed this man into killing himself, right? But then and even like the Tempe police told TMZ that on the night that the man killed himself, that his family members went to the coffee shop and were, quote, aggressive with the staff, stating that he had killed himself over the incident. And you know, I don't know how you could be divided in terms of whose fault it is, because my thing is like, look, anytime something like this happens, it's disturbing and a life is lost, and that's not, you know, I'm trying to be sensitive to people's feelings, but also stating how I feel about it. You know, at the end of the day, I think that sometimes people don't need to be alive for certain reasons.
I'm just curious as to like...
And if you are in this situation, if you feel like you're in a place in your life when you do something like this, in terms of going through this drive-through, like touching yourself inappropriately, like you're at a place in life that's not very healthy. I don't feel like good people do that sort of thing. And the fact that you getting called out online, then the next day you go and kill yourself. You got bigger demons. You got bigger problems. Yeah, I don't blame the manager. I don't blame the baristas. I don't blame the coffee shop for this happening.
Yeah.
Because all they did was call out inappropriate behavior and you got embarrassed by it.
Yeah.
And that led you to feel however you felt about that and other things in your life, whatever. And then you went and did what you did. So no one made you go do that.
Yeah. The only thing about it that makes me want to, it has nothing to really do with the incident itself. It just makes me wonder, like, was this person, because the video, he's immediately like shocked and pulls off, right? Like he just bounces. He's not even like a confrontational, like Chad type guy, right? Which is kind of what I would have expected. So him pulling off I was kind of shocked. I expected more of an aggro type person. And so I was like, was he like a mentally ill person already? Meaning like, clearly when you take your own life like that quickly, it sparks the debate, the conversation. Well, he clearly was mentally ill. So my only perspective on it, that's not just like, I'm not saying she did anything wrong or the person who posted did anything wrong, but I could see the perspective of like, if this was a disturbed, actually mentally ill individual, and this got posted with his face, and it all happened so quickly, I could see where it's like, basically not giving the family the time to maybe get their mentally ill individual checked in, just because it screams this manic type of weird behavior where I'm like, was he having a mental breakdown? And this was just, I'm not trying to have empathy for a pervert. It's just like, that's such a dramatic thing to do.
It's a dramatic reaction.
That just screams like there was something way deeper going on than just like a pervert who was just trying to jerk off in a drive-thru. Like something, I mean, I'm not saying he wasn't doing that, just like that to be the end result so fast.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, it's almost like, the video could have went up and his face be blurred while the police were notified to then determine they can know who the individual is. They can then go get the individual. And then if he's not like a mentally ill person, he's be checked into a fucking mental hospital, unblur his face, whatever. That's the only, and that's just me kind of like reaching to the whole, like,
trying to understand
the family's point of view. If this was a person in your life that was mentally disturbed, I could see being upset that feeling like you weren't given an adequate amount of time
to get them help.
That's where I could see them being upset, I guess. If this person had a history that they don't know about that, right? Like I'm saying, like the coffee shop has no way of knowing that. So that's where I'm like, well, you probably still would have gotten the same reaction publicly if you would have blurred his face. Just letting people know this behavior and what's going to happen from here on out. If you do this, we're going to start posting you or something. And, they called the police as well. So it's like, that's the only argument I could see if this was this type of individual. But it's like,
I understand how the family could view it that way.
Yeah, that's where I'm like, if I'm thinking of it from them, that's crazy though.
I think that the public as a whole has no obligation to try to protect a predator.
No,
a sexual deviant.
No.
Because that's what he is. That's what he did.
That's crazy.
You can see, like, that's disgusting behavior, and no one is under any obligation to do anything to protect his identity. If you are audacious enough to do something that sick and disturbed in public, and not to mention the harm he did to the poor barista and the poor manager that had to see this and witness this disgusting behavior. So it's like the kind of person that would do something like that, that brazenly, that in public, whatever, like, who knows what else he either did or had the capability of eventually doing. You are under no obligation to.
No.
The public needs to know that he's a dangerous person.
Yeah.
Because that is unacceptable. Like,
weird.
I think we should publicly shame perverts.
I think we should publicly
bring
shame a lot
back
of
public
people.
shaming. We have talked about that before on this podcast. Bring back public shaming.
I think across the board.
Yes.
Across
if you're
for
doing
perverts, across for, like,
weirdos,
freak behavior, like, babe, you're not an animal. That's weird. Like, any weird, perverted, not even just perverted. Some behavior is just bizarre.
Some things you should keep to yourself.
Yes, there are some things that you should be like, that's in private. No, that's so weird. This business, like you were saying, this business is, like, bizarre. That's hot ass coffee and you half naked.
Yeah. So moving on just from that story. So just looking at this business, this Bikini Barista coffee shop, I don't really, like, I get what they're trying to do, but it's like they're being fake about it. So let me explain what I mean.
Yeah.
So if you go to their part of the website where it says, like, who we are and what we're about, it says that they want to inspire their local community positively by empowering others to do what they want and love what they do. This is why they brought a new type of coffee brand to market with Bikini Baristas to show the community anything is possible. Their brand is founded upon providing exceptional customer service and delivering a quality product. They achieve this through the help of their incredible Bikini Baristas staff, also creating a personal experience on every visit and making sure your drink is made just the way you like it each and every time. And so the whole, like, again, and then going to their, like, frequently asked questions, or where was it? Yeah, so it says that the owners, I guess it looks like a married couple, so it's a couple that they came up with the idea of, basically they wanted to bring, like, they were really passionate about coffee, and they wanted to create and bring their passion and their knowledge about coffee into a new type of coffee business, into their market in Arizona. But they knew that it couldn't just be any regular sort of coffee shop. They had to have, like, a shtick, like a gimmick. And they said that they really liked Hooters, and they're frequent customers of Hooters. Exactly. And so it's basically the Hooters version of a coffee shop. And they said that they wanted to bring something unique, like a unique concept to the world of coffee. And they said on the website, it says Bikini Beans is more than just a bikini coffee shop. It's a powerhouse that uplifts coffee enthusiasts, tea drinkers, and protein shake lovers alike. They're a unique business model that empowers individuals to demonstrate self-confidence. Most importantly, they use quality coffee beans that are roasted right in the valley. Bikini Beans wanted their customers to feel appreciated and recognized as an individual, not simply a transaction. To achieve this, Bikini Beans focuses diligently on the details, remembering customers' names and orders, asking guests to try their drink before they leave, and waving goodbye with a friendly smile. So basically, you're paying... Exactly. You're paying your baristas to wear bikinis and flirt with their customers. That's what it is. I mean, why are we sugarcoating this?
That's exactly what it is.
It's flirt. You're paying them to be, hey, you remember their names and their orders, make them feel special. Oh, make sure you try it before you leave. Make sure we made it right for you.
Okay, well, like, don't jerk off in the line, but, like, don't be surprised when you got some people that probably have some crushes. Please understand, I'm not condoning jerking off in the line. What I am saying is, like, I'm sure they also deal with a lot of men who are like, oh,
let me tell you something.
She likes me. Well, I'm going to be honest. Not a lot of people remember my name all the time. And so I think I'm special sometimes when you remember my name. I'm kidding. But I'm just like, that's...
And then they wave goodbye, bye. We'll see you next time. Like, you're flirting.
Yeah.
You're paying your employees to do that, which, again, fair enough. If that's the business model and it's been successful and there's a market for this, clearly, if you're expanding and building new locations, like, more power to you.
I can't understand being half naked.
I know who your client base is. Like, this is not like me as somebody who likes coffee. I like tea. Like I'm not, that's not aimed at me. That I am not the target demo. Women in general, I think, are not the target demo for this sort of place.
Unless you're a lesbian, I guess.
Hey, more power to you.
Or something. I would never go out of my way to go there. I would be like, oh, I want a coffee. That's the only place. I guess that's where I'm going. But it's also like, that's a weird business. I don't understand that. You're dealing with hot drinks and these girls are half naked. How's that even safe anyway? Like, how does that, like, just safety wise, like, ew. Like, what? That's a weird business.
Yeah, so it kind of gives me like the ick.
No, it does for sure. I mean, I'm not.
But again, they don't not the target demo. So.
No, I mean, they don't deserve to be sexually harassed by any means.
Oh, no, not at all.
But I'm also like, that's a weird business that I feel like there are a lot of businesses and some creators that hide behind self-empowerment when it's actually just like internalized misogyny of like, you know, that OnlyFans girl who slept with like 1,072 men. Mm-hmm. That's disgusting. That's fucking disgusting for every man that participated and her. There's nothing empowering about that at all.
No.
There was nothing empowering about you rolling around on used condoms on the floor. There's nothing empowering about you also knowing that you're sleeping with a married man. Nothing empowering about him sleeping with you. Nothing empowering about it. And it's just so... And the online discourse for that has been, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, this is not, there's nothing empowering about this. But it's just this, like, diluting sex to be nothing more than an animalistic urge is just so sad. I'm not saying it's not, but I'm also saying it's sad to see it get so broken down to mean nothing. That's just, and it's that same thing. It's like, I'm not saying you should be able to dress how you want, but it's also like, what is the point of this business?
Because
who bothers me, who's your target demo?
What bothers me is like the hiding behind of, you know, we're hiding behind, we want to empower our customers to be confident in themselves. No, it's not.
Well, show me a fat one.
Exactly. And that's the other thing is
and
that
I'm not saying that in like fat's not a bad word. It's just every model there was like hot and physically fit and everything. So
physically fit, hair done, makeup done, looking very attractive. Yeah, like so conventionally attractive.
What's empowering about?
Who are you empowering? You're empowering hot women to look hot.
Yeah, no, you're just empowered. Which I mean, if you're like, hey, you want to come get coffee and come look at these cute girls and do it, fair enough. That's the business, but don't hide behind you're empowering women because you're not.
And then also, you know, our coffee is high quality and crafted locally. Everybody and made with all this, you know, knowledge and passion for coffee. And I'm like, bitch, ain't no one going here because they love your coffee.
No, not a single person. That's like when people go, I go to Hooters for the wings. Yeah. Okay, that being said, Hooters does have really good wings though. I don't mind Hooters. I'm not opposed to seeing hot girls or anything, but I'm also like, I know what I'm getting to when I go to Hooters. Whatever. But it's like Bikini Beans, like, bitch, it's not called empowering beans. The fuck?
Yeah, so just the business ethos as a whole, just, yeah.
What a weird business. What a fucking bizarre story, first of all. Like,
I just wouldn't feel comfortable going into, let me start over. I wouldn't feel comfortable going into a coffee shop where all the baristas there are no baristos.
Yeah, where are the hot guys at?
There ain't none.
Yeah, I want to see. Well, let me see them in their shorts. When I first heard the story, I was like, well, was it a joke where he was in like shorts, like swim trunks? Like, cause he's making fun, but that's not what it was.
No.
So,
it would feel weird to me to go into a coffee shop where literally they're wearing straight up bikinis because it's like, it's not in the appropriate place to be, or environment to be wearing that. So like, I mean, and putting it into context, if I go to a water park and then go into one of the cafes at a water park, or there's certain resorts that have pools that have swim up bars, or even if you're at the beach and they have a little tiki bar or something set up and you go and get a drink, if they're wearing bikini tops and shorts or just straight up bikini, because let me tell you something, wearing bikini bottoms all day, those things do not breathe. You're asking for like UTI, yeast infection. You're asking for all that.
You're asking for it.
I mean,
yeah.
But so like, I get if you're wearing like bikini top and like shorts, whatever, or even just a full on swimsuit bikini in those scenarios, because that's an appropriate place. It's hot outside.
Yeah.
You're at a place where it's either water or the beach. Like, I get it. That's appropriate. That does not bother me. I'm probably also in a bathing suit when I'm getting my food, drink, whatever.
Yeah.
This is not that. You're on firm, like concrete in a city environment at very minimum. It's a densely populated suburb area.
And it's not even like a tiki place.
It's not even
like a beach like
vibe.
Yeah. Like,
I guess it is a beach vibe because they're like, we're bikini beans.
We're empowering.
Yeah.
Ew.
So anyhow, moving on.
That's so fucking weird, dude. That whole story, like, there's just so many. I'm like, first of all, that business is fucking bizarre. But that doesn't mean that you get to go be a pervert. And that's also what a dramatic. That's crazy. Like,
but the fact that they've been so successful, they have that many locations and they're opening more. And I think they're all in Arizona. So they have 5 locations in different cities in Arizona, and they're opening 2 more.
Good for them, man.
Which I'm like, it's
because of the coffee.
Yeah, definitely. It's the quality of the coffee.
The quality of the coffee is so good that they get to open up more locations because, like, it's so good. It has nothing.
Let me tell you something. We have a couple of local coffee places here, and one of them in particular downtown that is great. I love their vibe, their aesthetic, their coffee is great. And they started off at a smaller place. When they opened, they moved to a bigger place. They haven't opened a second location. Again, great quality coffee. Great vibe, great environment. They haven't expanded beyond their one location.
No. I mean, maybe they should just try wearing bikinis. Obviously.
Yeah, I just, and maybe the market in Arizona and maybe the culture there and their social norms and their social like morals. And I'm not saying that it's immoral to do this. I'm just saying that the way that maybe it's just different from where we are. Where like that could be something like a type of business that is socially acceptable
there.
Do they even
get tips? Like at least at Hooters. Okay, the fact is at Hooters you're a server and you work at Hooters and you know who most of your clientele is gonna be. And then when you flirt and you do a lot of these things as a server, you're getting tipped though. So you have like this incentive to kind of play along and you and the customer both know what's going on.
Yes.
So I don't really have a problem with it. But like with this, you normally would make an hourly wage. So what's the benefit of this? So it's kind of like, to me, I'm like, when I see like a Hooters server, I'm not really judging anybody because I'm like, I know what you're getting out of this and that makes sense. But like you're making an hourly wage at a coffee shop to be half dressed and you still have to flirt. And I mean, normally at a coffee shop, you all share your tips out of that tip jar. So like, what are you really getting out of this? It's not like you're getting anything extra than what your typical paycheck would be versus at Hooters, you could make a fuck ton of money.
And from the promotional videos I've seen, every single barista is wearing a bikini. So it's not like you even have people that are quote in the back who aren't like the customer facing people.
Yeah.
That they're wearing full regular clothes.
The manager had a shirt on, I noticed. Did you see that reflection in her?
Yeah, but everything else in their promotional video, from what I could see, everybody, the people who are pulling the shots of espresso.
That's fucking nuts. Some of that shit is so hot. Like, what do you mean you don't have clothes on? What if you get splashed? Burned? The fuck?
Yeah. So,
so weird.
Yeah, I just wouldn't see this sort of business ever be opening like in this area or being successful. So again, maybe it's just a like societal norms are different in different areas. And maybe that's a thing that they don't care about or mind about.
So fucking weird, dude. I don't even like. Okay.
Okay. So, what do you want to talk about next?
You had a question about audiobooks.
Yes. Okay. So, the last couple weeks, I have been seeing a lot of discourse online, particularly amongst the Bookstagram people, people who are very avid readers. And a lot of times toward the end of the year, like depending on different apps that you use or like Kindle or whatever, they'll track that those different apps or even Kindle will track how many books you've read throughout the year. And so some people like to set reading goals for themselves. So they're like, oh, I want to read 50 books in a year, which is a very high goal because it's basically a book a week almost. some people set certain goals. And so one of the questions that was raised as we're getting close, we were getting close to the end of the year and into the new year, is some people said, if you're setting your book goals and counting the amount of books that you've read in the year, do you count audiobooks as reading? And then it became just in general, do you count audiobooks as reading? So what are your thoughts?
My 2-part question, I feel this is.
Yes.
I would say yes. I think you should be able to count your audiobooks you listen to into that list.
Into the goal.
The goals.
Yeah.
I do not think it's reading. Like the physical act of reading. But I also don't think you have to read, like, how do I put it? I mean, reading is reading. It just is what it is. So that being said, though,
reading is
like it's the physical act of me reading these words on this page or wherever I'm reading. That is that is reading. Listening and reading are not the same thing. That being said, though, when I'm thinking of that list, right, you still listened to the book that somebody else was reading. So you got the exact same effect that you would have gotten if you just read it yourself. But some people are driving. Some people just cannot physically take their eyes to be able to read it. So I don't think, I'm not into like the book snob thing where because you read it you read it physically with your eyeballs, it doesn't make you, one, know the plot any better, doesn't make you know anything more than a person that listened to it. And they can literally have a discussion with you about the book as if they read it. So there's nothing different besides how you consumed the media, in my opinion. So I think, yes, you should be able to include it on your list of your goals or whatever. But if you're asking me, is it reading? No. That's my opinion.
So I'm of a similar opinion. And I'll just give you some of the replies or like some of the back and forth that I've seen of people arguing this or debating it. So I agree that if you're talking, and because a lot of the questions were framed initially as, do you count it toward your reading goal for the year? And my thought, like you, is that if you consumed that book, whether through physically reading it or listening to the audiobook, you still consume that book. And again, you're able to have discussions about the plot and the characters. And if you liked it or didn't like it, you know enough to leave a review about the book. So I think it counts toward your goal.
Mm-hmm.
However, reading versus listening are two different processes. Yeah. I've always come back to this, like, words mean things, and you can't just arbitrarily change the meaning of a word because you think it means something different or you want to redefine it. Like, that happens over time in society as language develops, but like, you don't get to just be like, that's not what that word means. We have to agree at some point what words mean. Mm-hmm. And if you Google define reading, it is the action or skill of reading written or printed matter silently or aloud. And to me, like that, because one of the critiques of saying, one of the critiques was, well, if you say that listening to audiobooks isn't reading, you're ableist.
Oh, no.
Because what about people who are visually impaired or blind and they can't physically read and they listen to audiobooks? And I would say they still listen to audiobooks because they are not physically capable of reading. And then they came back with, well, if they are reading Braille, just because they didn't use their eyes would you say Braille, like reading Braille doesn't count as reading? And I'm like, well, no, because Braille is a printed medium.
It's printed media that they're
then consuming. It's printed. So you're using either written or printed words, and you're then interpreting them, basically. You're consuming written or printed media. And
what does reading say? The definition of reading?
So define reading is the action or skill of reading written or printed matter silently or aloud.
Yeah, nowhere does it say you have to use your eyes. It just says...
Yeah, and then just read. It says, look at and comprehend the meaning of written or printed matter by mentally interpreting the characters or symbols of which it is composed. So it does say look at, but I would argue that I
don't think there's another word
but
you could use for Braille then in the sense of consuming it, because you're not listening to it. You're still having to like internalize and absorb it in your brain.
You're still absorbing and comprehending the meaning of written or printed matter by mentally interpreting the characters or symbols of which it is composed.
So I would still say that's reading.
Yeah. And some people made the argument, they're like, well, the way your brain intakes the information, whether you're listening or reading, you still you're intaking the information, like the same process is happening in your brain, like you absorb it the same way. So it's the same thing. And I'm like, no, it's not. They're like, there's science, there's studies that show that you still absorb the information, whether you read it or listen. But I'm like, but they're different. They're different processes.
Even if it's the same, even if the argument is trying to say that basically how it enters your brain and how your brain processes it, but the still physical action we're talking about is not the same.
The input is different.
Yeah, like
the way that the information is getting input into your body is different.
That's
into
like
your brain
saying
is different.
reading lyrics is like listening to the song. Like, no, it's not. Granted, that's very nuanced because there's melodies and things like that in a song. But I'm just saying, like, it's just, what I don't get is, why does it matter? No, like, you're not better than anybody else because you read the physical book versus somebody who listened to it. And it doesn't make you any more knowledgeable. It doesn't make you any more of a nerd. It doesn't give you an edge over anybody.
I think that's where some of the pushback is coming from in terms of saying it's ableist or they are the same thing, is because when people reply in that manner, I think some people are taking that to mean, oh, well, you think that the people who can physically read with their eyeballs or who do are better than people who just listen to it, the audiobook. And it's like, no one said that. All we said was that it was different. You can still count it on your book goals list.
Yeah, I don't think
but it doesn't mean, no one said we think that we're better or that we're elitist because we do it we consume it that way. You got real defensive.
I think it's just weird to even have a we. Like there's a community of audio, but it's just books. Like, you know, I kind of commend the people that do. A lot of people that consume audiobooks, they're trying to also accomplish other things. So they're driving or they have their headset on while they're like, it's like essentially, instead of listening to podcasts or videos, they're listening to books. Like at Cracker Barrel, remember? That's what they used to have, those audiobook tracks that truck drivers used to have all the time.
You could like, basically, it's almost like a renting service where you would rent like the CD set of like audiobooks, and then you could like return them to any Cracker Barrel and whatever. And
I'm just like, I don't understand this. Like every community has this snobbish behavior because you have some people that, and a lot of it is, I'm going to be honest, a lot of it's probably come from readers being snobs to the audio listeners to make the audio listeners very defensive about, because it's like, truth be told, they can't say I read it because they didn't, but they consumed it and they know, it's like, they know just as much as anybody else.
My thing is like, is anyone actually telling you that if you're an audiobook listener, is anyone actually telling you that you're less than because you listen to it versus reading it? Or are you just defensive because you feel some kind of way about it and you feel like you're inferior or you feel like you're being judged?
It's probably both.
But this overly like defensive and then going straight into it's ableist. What about visually impaired and blind people?
They can't. You're telling me blind people can read? Unless they're reading Braille, that's different.
They can read Braille because you're interpreting printed or written media.
Yes, yeah.
And the symbols and the characters and what they mean. That because Braille that's a thing. But no, listening to versus physically reading are two different things.
Yeah, and I think like they're taking it as like,
that doesn't mean one's better than the other.
No, it doesn't mean one's better than the other, and it also doesn't mean like you consumed it no matter what. Now, I will say, if I was in a discussion with people, right, and they're like, "Hey, have you read blah blah blah?" and I listened to it, I'm not going to correct them and say, "No, but I listened to the audiobook," because I'm just going to say, "Yeah," because pretty much I read it, I just listened to it instead. So it's
you still consume the story and can talk about it. The reason people are asking you if you've read it is likely because
they want to talk about it.
They want to talk about it.
Yeah, so they're not asking me because they gave a fuck how I consumed it. They're just asking me so they know whether we can talk about it or not. So no, if I listen to it, I'm not going to go, well, actually, I listened to the audiobook.
Even if you did, I don't give a shit.
No, but I'm saying is like, if I did, if you asked me, did you read this? I'm just going to say yes.
Yeah, because we're going to get to the point.
Because I just want to talk about the book. I don't give, like, that's because how I consumed it's unimportant.
Or if someone said, hey, did you read this book? No, I listened. You could say, no, I listened to the audiobook, but it was great. What did you think about it? Or you can say, you know, if someone says, did you read this book? Yeah, I did. I listened to the audiobook. It was great. What did you think about it?
You didn't, then there's that person, you didn't read it.
You really think they're going to go back, oh, well, you listened to the audiobook, you didn't actually read it, blah, blah, blah.
Imagine there's a whole, like, there's this, what it is like, there's been a few people that have joined a book club and they listen to the audiobook and then the book club stuff. Because I'm gonna say, and I say this because like I'm a part of the photography community now, where I see a bunch of some people truly are fucking snobs, and you have a snob in every community, bro.
They're like, I'm a purist.
Yeah, so I'm like,
if you're not doing it the hard way from scratch,
yeah, so
then
I'm like,
you are cheating.
I know for a fact. Okay, that's wrong. I highly suspect that there have been, in fact, some people that are like, well, you didn't actually read it, though. Just because they're like, they have that elitist thing that because they read that they thought it was any harder. Where I'm like, But then at that point, I'm like, why do you care so much what some elitist prick thinks about what you're doing or why you're doing it?
Why do you care?
The whole discussion is bizarre, but I'm like, no, it's not reading. It's like
it's been a hot topic in the book community online.
But just to piss people off, I go, well, it's basically the same thing. If we're talking about consuming, it's basic. Who gives a fuck? Like, yeah, you're right. You did do it. Same thing.
And I mean, my thing always goes back to like when people say, oh, you know, you're whether you physically read it or listen to it, it's the same thing and it doesn't matter. Like, it's the same thing. I'm like, no, the processes are different. And they're like, in my, like,
we're just saying technically they're different. Like
they are. You are absorbing the information in a different way.
Yes, on a technical level, they're 100% different. For the
whether you drink electrolyte water or you get an IV drip, you're still getting hydrated, baby. You're still getting hydrated.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's the same. It's the same. The end goal of consuming the media. You went path A. This person went path B, and you both crossed the finish line at the same race, babe. That's all that it is.
And I always go back to like, you know, there was a time when most of the world couldn't read and write. The way that most stories, the way that even originally like religion was spread, like reading the Bible, the only person usually like that could read the Bible in the church was the person at the pulpit who was giving the sermon. Most of the people in the audience of like a church, or most of the people listening to stories at that time could not read and could not write.
Yeah.
So the way stories get spread and the way information is taught and passed along is verbally and audibly. That fucked me up. Audibly.
I was really surprised I got there before you because I really can barely speak. So I was like, I got this.
That's one of those auditorily, like that.
I can't say compartmentalized. Compartment. I can't say that word. There's another word I have an issue with where I'm like, fuck it. Where you put things in different compartments. So I'm like, let me break the whole word up.
Yeah, but so the whole thing of like being able to understand a language when people are speaking to you, being able to speak it back to them, listening, speaking, that's one process. Being able to then take the audio that the sounds you're making with your mouth and the sounds you're hearing with your ears and translate that into written symbols that then mean something, being able to write those written symbols and then read them and understand, interpret what they mean, that's a different thing.
Yeah.
Again, there is a reason why it took, for most of human history, most of the human population could not read and write.
Yeah.
But we survived. We were able to develop it. Like, they're just different processes. They develop differently.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, there's a reason why like babies learn to speak and then it's not till kindergarten when they start being taught how to write and read and they start learning their alphabets and symbols and stuff. Like,
yeah,
there's different processes. That doesn't mean one is better than the other.
No.
You're still getting the information. It's just different mediums.
This feels like one of those arguments and I'm like, what are we talking about?
Exactly.
Why?
It's like, why is there an argument?
Life's too good for y'all. Like, your life is really good if you're a part of this community arguing with people.
You're ableist.
And
I'm just like, y'all.
It's not ableist to point out a fact. It would be.
You're saying blind people can't read? Yes. Not with their eyeballs. That's not ableist. It is a fact.
That's like saying, you're telling me this person in a wheelchair can't walk?
That's ableist. Like, no, it is a fact. Pointing out facts does not mean you're being mean, and it doesn't mean that you're being ableist or you're making fun of or being critical. It's just stating a fact.
Now, I think when they read Braille, that's reading.
Yes.
But that's because, like you said, you're interpreting like written symbols in your mind that you're feeling. But I'm just like, what a weird...
The whole discourse.
What a first world conversation.
It was just, the whole discourse was maddening because I'm not about to sit there and waste my time taking part in it by typing out all my little comments because I'm just like, no, you're not going to change anyone's mind by typing out a Facebook comment. But yeah, I just thought it was interesting that yeah.
That's super weird. You have 2 stories. So let's just hop into those.
Okay. So I've got 2 Am I the Asshole stories.
Yeah.
The first one, the headline is, Am I the asshole for telling my brother's fiancée that we don't owe her a family? So my stepbrother, Nico, is a 29-year-old male. I am a 25-year-old female. Me, 25. So my stepbrother, Nico, who's 29, has recently got engaged to a woman called Jenny after dating for 2 years. We all tried to welcome Jenny, especially knowing that she grew up in the foster care system and didn't have a family. We tried to get to know her, but she seemed to want an instant, intimate connection rather than building one. Me and my younger stepsister, Chelsea, who's 22, bore the brunt of her neediness, but our parents have also expressed concerns. So right now you've got me and my stepsister are like, whoa, our brother, my stepbrother, her brother, his fiance is being a little too needy, a little too clingy to our family. Since she met us, she has been trying to insert herself into pictures, family disputes, and social events. She has no boundaries. We've all talked to Nico about it so many times, even sitting him down as a family, and he keeps saying he will talk to her, but nothing changes. And it's gotten worse since the engagement. She tried to make me her maid of honor, demanded my mother throw her a bridal shower, started calling my parents mom and dad, even though they asked her not to, and reached out to distant family members that we don't even talk to tell them about the engagement. Last week, we were all, and we being me, Chelsea, Nico, and our partners. So all of us children and partners, staying at our parents' place. We were staying at our parents' place. Jenny, Nico, and my boyfriend were the only ones not up yet, and the rest of us were in the kitchen. Chelsea, my mom, and I were talking about taking a weekend trip. Jenny came in, having overheard us, saying it sounded like fun and proceeded to invite herself along. I was pretty annoyed by this and said she couldn't just invite herself. Jenny said, why wouldn't she be invited? And I said, because marrying Nico doesn't give you a blanket invite to every single thing all his family does. Jenny got upset and said she would really like to be included in our family since it was the only one she knows and she doesn't have a proper family. I said, I know that, and we all sympathize, but it doesn't mean we owe you a new one.
I have thoughts about that.
Yes.
And I don't know.
I felt you would.
I don't know that we'll agree on this. Mm-hmm. I think yes and no. Like, I think that it was pretty clear from the start, for whatever reason. Like, it's just because, like, I'm so close with Travis's family, because my family is in Virginia or whatever, and it's like I do go to every family thing, and I am in family pictures, and like that's his fiance or whatever that he's clearly intending on marrying. And when you do things like that, you actually are inviting somebody into your family. So it's a really, I also understand, like, she's saying, oh, she's super needy, this, and that. But I'm also like, well, I don't know the full context. What does needy mean? Like, just wanting to, like, get to know, like, what is that? I don't know, like, what is a slow development over, I don't know what that actually means to her. So I'm just kind of like, it sounds like if she doesn't have to me, I'm like, if you were nice, why wouldn't you just invite her? Unless you just don't like her. I mean, if she's a bitch or something, but like, because that is essentially going to be your sister-in-law, which is basically going to be like a sister is the point. So it's kind of like, it sounds to me like you have a person who could be overly desperate and is maybe coming on way too strong, but you basically have empathy, but it sounds like you just don't like the overreach or the over whatever, probably because she's mentioned this is her step family. So for whatever reason, they clearly had to integrate together at some point. So maybe she didn't enjoy that process, or she's not enjoying it again. But I'm like, you kind of sound like a bitch. I'm not saying, I would have to know it. I guess I would have to know an example, because even the interaction that she shared was kind of sad. Where it's more like, it wasn't like she was like, well, fuck you guys. It wasn't like, you have to invite me. It was just like, I just really like she's so desperate to want something. And I understand that kind of falls just on her. But in a way, it's sad because she never really had any other way it's sad to want something and to feel like you got it. But then to feel like, well, damn, why don't they want me? And she's going to have all that trauma anyway from being a foster kid. And it's kind of like, well, why wouldn't the mom throw her a bridal shower? She doesn't have a mom to throw her one. That's not something you typically throw yourself. That is something that the family would do. And if you were excited and happy for your stepbrother, you would do that. Like, those just feel like things you would do. Like, the more I'm talking, I kind of feel like this girl's a bitch.
You're the asshole.
I think she's an asshole.
I think that...
Not saying the girl's not annoying by any means, but like, overall, I think you're the asshole.
I think that it basically comes down to both sides being a little more understanding of where the other side is coming from and trying to then temper your expectations and change your behavior in a way that makes everything a little more like not cohesive, but just more like fitting together nicer, basically. So my thought on it is that, so like from my experience, so my brother met his now wife when they were in high school. Mm-hmm. So they knew each other since they were 15 years old.
Yeah.
Had been together that entire time. They're now both 30. So they've been together for, 15 years. Have been married for several. So the dynamics of trying to integrate a partner or a spouse or potential soon-to-be spouse into your current family, there's a little bit of balance that goes into that, right? It's not something that can be instant. And from what this poster has said, it seemed like this fiance has expected or tried to, maybe came on a little strong. But again, they've been dating for 2 years and they're engaged now. So you haven't been starting to try to get to know this person or integrate them into the family functions or dynamic in some way.
I would expect her to come at this point. That's kind of the point.
Like, even when my brother and his wife first started dating, if there were family events or family functions or get-togethers, whatever, I don't know that she was ever excluded. I'm pretty sure the invitation was always extended. That's also because that's the kind of family that I have, where we're like, the more the merrier.
But that's the point.
We're kind. Like, we're not going to exclude people intentionally. Do we have some extended family members or partners of family members that maybe we find a little bit annoying or a little bit grating, or it's like, well, I don't love when they're there, but like
But I can say that about some of my family.
That's different, because that's like private conversations and gripes that you have. When we're like, you don't then alienate that person or try to make them feel bad. You include them because it's what family does. Like, you're kind. You extend the invitation because, like it or not, we are family, And so, but at the same time, so coming from the family perspective, again, just the way my family has treated people and the way I grew up, you extend the invitation.
Yeah, I can't relate to being so possessive of my family. I can't relate to the possessiveness of any of that.
Because I even have, extended family that if they get a new partner, new girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, that person is, even if it's around the holidays, if it happened they started dating in October and the news gets around, oh, so-and-so has a new girlfriend. Did you hear that? Blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh, well, are they invited? Are they coming to Thanksgiving? Well, it's always, when do we get to meet her? Is she coming to Thanksgiving?
Exactly.
Is she going to be at Christmas? Are they going to stop by? Do they have children? Do we need to get a present? My mother is the queen of, well, if there's going to be children there, I'm getting them a present.
No, like,
I don't care who they are. It's welcoming.
That's such a, like, why are you so possessive over, even like the whole, like, you and your stepsister, and did she say it was her mom or her stepmom?
Yeah, it's her mom and the stepbrother or stepfather.
So I'm like, why wouldn't you just be like, what's so important that it's like, oh, it's because it's you, your stepsister, and then would be your future sister-in-law. Like, why?
You're the girls of family.
Yeah,
the women of family.
Yeah, it's a girls' trip kind of a thing. It's like, unless you just don't like her and you think she's fucking weird and she's a drag or something. But I'm also like, it sounds like you're just a possessive bitch. Because I just think it's weird. And and I'm so over the whole culture of like, boundary. I understand there should be boundaries, but I'm also like, no, some things are just normal. Your stepbrother has been dating this girl for 2 years. He wants to, and also, where's the account? If you're just blaming her, you're acting like maybe he fucking wants her there. Why the fuck wouldn't she be at probably because he wants her at the fucking family.
Because that's his intended wife. Like,
because maybe you're a bitch, so he wants his support system there, because maybe you're just a bitch. Like, that's so fucking weird for you to think that, is it your family event? Like, That's so weird. Like, it's so weird.
Even if you were saying, oh, it's family only, she is family. At that, if you were engaged, that's family.
Honestly, if you're dating somebody
long term, even like that's family. They're included in the bubble.
But what is a family only event? Like, what kind of fucking like narcissistic shit is that? Like, family only.
I don't know that we've ever had a family event where we're like family only.
I can't relate. I've never in my life had a family only, blood family. Bitch, well, apparently your stepsister can't go blood family only.
I'm like,
you already got a mismatched family. The fuck you so upset for?
There is never there would never have been a case if like we were having like a family birthday party or Thanksgiving, Christmas, holiday, get together, Easter dinner, whatever. If I were to say, hey, can I invite my friend because they're not doing anything with their family for that holiday? There is no case where my family would be like, no, it's family only. They'd be like, please bring them.
Yeah.
Make sure they bring containers for leftovers. We'll send them home with a plate. Like,
I cannot relate to this at all.
So I get it from that perspective, I'm like, no, your family needs to be more inclusive and not as hateful because you're being kind of mean.
Yeah, you're being mean.
So I get it. So from that perspective, so that's what they need to do better, right? So from the fiancé part of it, I would say that you need to pull back a little bit, babe. Just a little bit. Because if your actions and behavior are not getting you the intended result and are actually giving you the opposite by pushing people away, let's change something up. Let's try something a little bit different. I understand that if you grew up in foster families and don't have a family, maybe you are not familiar with familial dynamics and how certain situations work. I would understand that if you weren't super familiar. But then that's also like your fiance's part. Like your dude needs to help you navigate some of those situations.
Yeah, he needs to step the fuck up and go, listen, this is how it's going to be, or we just won't come around because like you're not going to start alienating the girl that I want to marry and be a bitch.
But then, okay, so again, relating it back to my own sort of family experience. So with my sister-in-law.
Yeah.
Say for instance, we were at a Thanksgiving dinner or whatever. Everybody's there, extended family's there, partners of extended family, everything. If we were like, oh, we want to get a family photo, my sister-in-law would be the first one to be like, oh, I'll take it for you. Right? Before they were married. She'd be like, oh, I'll take it. This is when they were still dating. She'd take the family photo. And then my mom or grandmother, aunt, me, somebody would always say like, okay, find some random other person here. Maybe it's a friend, a family friend, somebody who's actually not directly related to the family in some way or connected in some way like that. And we'll say, oh, hey, let so-and-so you get in the picture. Come jump in the picture and let them take it. We want you in the photo too. And let me tell you why that dynamic works. One, my sister-in-law took it upon herself to understand that maybe we want direct family only in a photo. She was not pushing herself into the photo. She was not assuming we would want her in the photo. However, again, our family is not full of assholes. We want her in the photo. So it's a case of like, don't be what could be perceived as overstep. Wait for the invitation. But if the invitation is never coming, that's when a conversation needs to be had, right? So I think there is some give and take and some balance because it comes back to like, again, and this is just my stepsister being conscientious and aware of social dynamics of being like, they may want a family photo that they don't want me. They may not want me in the photo, but I'm not taking it personally that they would want a photo of just all of them because at that point we are not engaged. We are not married.
I mean, I think even if you are engaged and married and say like you have 4 kids, let's say you're the grandma in that scenario, or you're the mom in that scenario with your 4 kids and they're all married. I might want a picture of just my 4 kids. Like, go ahead and give me one with all the spouses, but I also want one of just my 4 kids for me because I think it'd be cute. So that maybe I have like a project, a scrapbook, but maybe I just want a picture of my adult children by themselves, just together as siblings again. Yeah. But I would also want a picture of them and their partners.
Exactly. And so it's like you can do all of the different scenarios and groupings and pairings up, but it's like my sister-in-law being aware enough of that fact that she's not going to impose and throw herself into the photo. But again, our family, we want her in the photo. Like, no, you're part of the family. Get in the photo. What are you doing? We're like, Emily, get in the photo.
Maybe she's not offering to take the picture because she knows they ain't going to take another one. So she's not taking it upon herself to ask to take the picture because she knows it's her one shot because y'all are mean.
So that is an example of like, don't push yourself in. But the family has to be accommodating and kind and thoughtful in that way to make sure that they feel included, you know? So again, it's a give and take and a balancing of like both parties need to readjust their expectations and the way they're going about things.
I can't imagine being the mom in that scenario and already having a stepdaughter and having to obviously integrate our families and then not like, you're supposed to be a mom. You should see this girl.
It's part of she's one of your kids.
And immediately mother hen her. Like I just can't. I can't relate to you not wanting to be like that because like even like no parent is perfect, but that's how like even my mom would do that. Like Travis's mom, like anybody. Like it's like if you're a female and you're a mom, and you just got it's just this natural instinct. So it's so weird that you're not immediately like mother henning her, where you're like, okay, yeah, of course, like she doesn't have a mom. Obviously, it's just weird. Like, why? Like, it's weird. Like, your family's mean. But yeah, if my advice to the girl would be, you know, I totally empathize and sympathize wanting that so badly for yourself. And while I don't agree with what the sister said, I actually do think that you are providing her a family because she's literally joining your family. Mm-hmm. I also think if that's how they're going to be, don't let that taint what a family can look like. Like, don't let that be the example of what a family's going to look like. Just pull back. If that's how it's going to be, pull back and
create your own family.
Don't share so much or be so vulnerable with them because they clearly don't appreciate it. They clearly don't actually have empathy and sympathy for you.
And I think that maybe at this point, it needs to be a direct conversation with everyone involved because she has said, the original poster has said that she talked to the stepbrother, or the family has talked and mentioned the stepbrother multiple times and said, can you talk to your fiance about this, about her overstepping and whatnot. So I don't know what those conversations look like, but this seems to be a case of like either something's getting lost in translation or we're just not understanding each other. I don't know what's going on, but this is a case of like, you cannot play telephone with something like this. If this is a case of like one side feels like you're overstepping and trying to force relationships and not quite going about it the right way, being, you know, the family's perspective. And then the other side is the fiance who is just like really wants a family and is really desperate to build these connections and integrate herself into the family, but it's just not working and she keeps trying different things in different ways, but you're not being receptive to that as a family. Like there's some sort of disconnect here that I think we can get the end result that we want. I just feel like a conversation needs to happen because, and I mean, if you go to like the example they gave about the fiance inviting herself onto this family trip or girls trip or whatever it is, that's a case of like, we've talked about this before, like not everything is for everyone. So I'm allowed to want to go on a vacation or a trip or whatever with just my friends and not include my family. Or I'm allowed to go somewhere with just my mom and my sister and not have my aunt or grandmother tag along. Mm-hmm. But also if they want to come, I'm not going to exclude them, right? So it's like you're allowed to want to do specific things with certain people and not invite other people along. You're allowed to do that. However, I
guess like yes and no, because it's kind of like, I understand the whole, like, yeah, you want to do things like individual, you know, I want to go to something with Travis or whatever. It doesn't mean I have to invite anybody else. Mm-hmm. And I do see where it's like, if I were to talk about plans or something and then it's like, oh, that sounds fun. Can I come? No. Like, but I'm also in a romantic relationship with him, so it's different because I'm going on a date with my boyfriend over the weekend. No, I don't want anybody to come tag along. But like, if it's a girls' trip with all the daughters, that's where it's like, that's a bit it sounds like you just want to exclude her a little bit because she's still new and y'all just don't like her or something. Because it's like, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Yes and no, because like I get wanting to go on a girls' trip with just your daughters or whatever that you've known for forever. It just is like, you don't got to be so fucking mean.
But the thing is like...
Also, I'm not going to beg anybody to go on any trip they don't want me on.
Yeah.
That's the other thing.
So one, do not invite yourself where you're not wanted.
No.
So
I would say, oh, wow, that sounds like fun. And then I would wait for the person to invite me. And then when I'm not invited, I'd be like, well, you know what? Fuck you then, bitch.
That is a case of like, you have to read the room and you have to say things without saying them directly. Yeah. So that is a case of if they're talking about a family trip or a girls' weekend trip. Oh my God, that sounds so much fun. I would love to do something like that.
I would just keep asking questions on purpose to get more and more information. And then I would just be like, that is so fun. But I'm also low-key, I'm not begging anybody to want me to go somewhere. So like, if you don't immediately invite me when I say that sounds like fun, you don't want me there.
Agreed. If you drop the hint, that sounds like fun. I would love to do something like that. If they're not going to invite me, I'm not inviting myself because clearly they don't want me there.
They do the whole, oh yeah, well, I'll send you the link so you can like go plan a trip by yourself. I'd be like, I got it.
Yeah, like read the room.
Yeah, I think that's where my irritation would be with her. Even if I was this girl's friend, I'd go, can you just stop being desperate about it? Because at that point, have some self-respect. Don't let people treat you like that. Don't be desperate. And you know what? Maybe give them less and they'll want more. Because I don't know. Maybe you are overreaching. I don't know. Because, I do think there are people that are so fucking needy that you're like, bro, it could be emotionally draining. So maybe I could see where, like, if you're dealing with such an emotionally needy person because they did grow up that certain way, it is fucking exhausting. And I'm saying that as somebody who didn't have a perfect childhood and has probably been guilty of being needy before. Like, I get, and unfortunately, when you grow up like that, other people like that tend to flock towards you like goddamn birds. So it is super exhausting to deal with damaged people. It just is. So I can understand if it's like, dude, it's so exhausting. And that's why you don't want her around all the time. Like, fair enough. But that's also a conversation just to directly have like, listen, I feel you need a lot of emotional like support right off the bat. And it's very exhausting. So how, like, just like you said, having an actual conversation what the problem is so you all can, like, move forward. Because right now you're being kind of mean and just, like, mean girl energy. And it might be, not saying you shouldn't, but it's just, you kind of feel, to me, I feel like you're the asshole a little bit.
It feels like a case of, if it is that maybe the fiancé is emotionally draining or a lot to deal with, because I have family members that I have to limit. There's a time limit on the amount of interaction I can have with them before I'm immediately exhausted or just frustrated or whatever. So I get that. And if that is the case, again, conversation where it's like, I understand what you're wanting. Like if you're wanting to go on a weekend girls trip, but that's a lot of time for all of us to be together when we are not vibing like that. So maybe we're not there yet in our relationship. But we can get there, I think.
But after 2 years, there's a reason you ain't there yet. That's the other thing. There's something deeper going on here where it's like, and maybe she's one of those people because, oh my God, you know what kind of person I can't stand? The type of person I can't stand is the one that it's like they've always got a problem where it's like, how's your day so-and-so? Oh, well, this happened. And then it's like the person that like, and I'm not
brings you down.
It brings you down where it's like somehow they always have to relate something back to like an intense trauma. And all you did was ask them like how their day was. And they're like, my fucking, like it's. So maybe it's a case of where if she's super emotionally needy, maybe she's one of those where you're like, you're bringing down the vibe all the time.
It's like, are you a downer?
Because I can't stand being around Debbie Downer all the time.
Like we're trying to have a good time. And I need you to we need to, you know what? If you know that somebody's like that, just don't ask them. If you know that they're 100%. Always negative or always like talking about how miserable they are or their life is or some bad thing that happened to them, just don't ask. Keep the topics to other things.
Or like, I can't stand a person that clearly is just fishing so hard for attention where it's like, an example being, there was this person in Diana's stream once, my other best friend, she's on Twitch, and this guy was in the chat talking about how he was going on a date with this girl. And we were like, okay, good for you, bro. And then he does this shit. I just don't know why she'd want to go on a date with me because I'm me. Shut the fuck up, bro.
No one cares.
That kind of person makes me want to vomit. So, and at the same, it's that needing some sort of pick-me-up from all the people around you all the time. That's where I'm like, okay, well, if that's the type of emotional needy we're doing, girl, you ain't invited to nothing.
Nobody wants to be around somebody who puts themselves down all the time.
Like, bro.
Or who complain, because it's just another form of complaining. You're fishing for compliments. You're fishing for people to make you feel better. And it's like, bruh, I'm not here to fix you.
I'm gonna be like, bro, I don't know. That girl's gonna talk to you for about an hour and she gonna realize real quick, you're right. She didn't want to go out with you because all you've done is put yourself down for her to pull. I can't stand that.
Are you putting yourself down before other people can? Like you're preemptively self-deprecating?
Yeah, but that's normally done in the funny way. You know, basically, I get the joke in about myself or anybody else can. But then there's the people that are like, I'm Eeyore, and because you want people to correct you and tell you, no, it's so annoying. Yeah, I would think, but that was a whole tangent, but I would think that it's coming across like you may be the asshole. So you need to have a discussion, because right now how you're going about it, and what you said, by the way, the question, we go back to the original question. Mm-hmm. What was the question?
The original question, am I the asshole for telling my brother's fiancée that we don't owe her a family?
Yes, I think that's a very mean thing to say.
Yes.
If that's your question, yeah, you were being pretty bitchy. You could have said that any other way. You could have chosen to go about that any other way.
You literally said to her, we don't like you.
Yeah, that was very mean, very ugly, and you should apologize for saying that and go have an actual discussion, because I just can't imagine somebody actually wanting to be my friend that bad, and you just stabbed her in the heart, bro. That was so fucking mean. That was just so mean. You could have said anything else, or you could have just tabled it. You could have just been like, oh, okay, yeah, we'll get back, and then you could have literally changed the plans to something short. I mean, there were 100 other things that how you could have handled that, and how you chose to was so fucking mean. So yeah, you're the asshole for being mean. That's how I see it. Everything else at that point is irrelevant because you were just a bitch. Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess that's it, because I'm getting my hungry headache. That's how I always know it's time to go. Because I'm getting my, oh my God. Do you know what I tried? And I never had one my entire fucking life. And then Travis made me try it. And I was like, is a Crunchwrap Supreme from Taco Bell. I never had one before. And I had one like a few weeks ago. And I was like,
I feel like I've had one.
It's so good.
Isn't it like the hard shell with cheese and then the soft shell is on the outside?
That's a cheesy gordita crunch. Oh. No. Oh, that's my other favorite. No, the Crunchwrap Supreme.
Oh, is that the hexagon shaped one?
Yes. Oh my God, it's so good.
It's the soft tortilla, and it's got like the flat crunchy in the middle.
It's so good. If you haven't had one, it's so I'm not.
I do not eat Taco Bell like that.
I love Taco Bell. I honestly I think I'm gonna go get some when I leave here, because I'm so okay. Anyway. So I would love to read a story from our viewers. We have to go find them on Reddit right now, because we don't have any short Why Were You Yelling stories currently. Quit looking at my fucking hair. I'm gonna cross this table at you. Just stop it. Look somewhere else. We only got a few minutes left. Oh, I've been quiet about it the whole episode. I'm so sick of it. I cannot control these little hairs. So anybody has advice for this shit, tell me. I don't cut them. I just have baby hair because I am young and thriving. So I'm sorry I have baby hairs that I can't control. I could look at her. I'm going to look at your hair standing up.
I would never notice.
Notice what?
That you were looking if I had hair out of place.
She's so obvious when she does it. Fuck, I just looked right at the light. But that's essential.
I can't help it.
Like, you make eye contact with somebody and then it drifts. You're telling me you wouldn't notice if I did this?
Literally no.
So oblivious.
Because I'm too busy looking at
You're too busy looking at my hair. Okay. So if you have a Why Were You Yelling story where you were yelling or you were being yelled at, you witnessed somebody yelling, truth be told,
I was just yelled at.
You deserved it. I should have been yelling, and you deserved it. You don't actually have to have been yelling. It just felt very appropriate because the name of the podcast, it could very much be advice. It could be whatever. So if you do have a story that you want us to read and talk about, please email it over to waypod.storytime@gmail.com. That is WAYYPOD.storytime@gmail.com. And anyway, we will yell at you and probably yell at each other in like just a little bit. So we'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.
I don't know what I just did with my hand. I just held my hand up.
Ew.
Take two. Bye.
Bye.